Hey guys, welcome back to the live stream today. We are in the shop working on Lone Star. Excellent news. Roam rest, dinette, seat benches and all that stuff came in. So we're going to show that probably tomorrow. I'll probably get to that tomorrow. I was about to not record this and I was like, hey, I need to jump in here and record some plumbing. So we're installing the water tank and fittings in the back of the van. So we're just going to get right into it. This is a 36-gallon water tank from Northwest Conversions. And it's pretty much for any van. So this is what they call an over-the-wheel well water tank. So if you can see here, we've got this part on the bottom of the tank is actually where the wheel well is in the van. So if you've never heard of this, it's called a over-the-wheel well water tank. And then if we just look in the van really quick, you can see over here we've got our kill mat. So we've got everything sound deadened. We're actually going to, in a minute, we'll be layering our Havelock over this. And then what you want to do is just kind of, I've already put this in and then taking it back out, so I know exactly how much I want to put in here. So I've got this insulation in there, and I've got it just enough to where it doesn't compress it too much, but fills it up. And then what I've also done, and again, this is kind of the monotonous part of the van building, is putting the tank in, taking it out, in, out, in, out. So what I've done is I've got a bracket right here, and that it locks in my position of the water tank, because what happens is this over-the-wheel well water tank, it's not perfect to a Ford Transit. It's meant for, it's like a universal fit, let's call it that. So what can happen is this front part can go forward of the wheel well or back behind the wheel well. And for building purposes, I need this to be fixed in a location so I can define where the water pump's going to be connected in the back of the van, where the drain and vent pipes are going to go. So we'll show that in just a second. So that bracket locks in one of these edges of my water tank. So even when I put the insulation in, the water tank is going to sit in a fixed location. And so our frame that's on the floor on the right-hand side of the van, you can't see right now, those pieces will be assembled around this. And then we can do our final measurements so that we can assemble those. And then this dinette bench on the right-hand side will be ready to go. So what we're doing over here on the right-hand side is, it's the same as the left side, except the right-hand side is going to be a dinette bench that's going to house the water tank, the water pump, the vent and drain lines, and that's going to house two lagoon tables in this front section, and it'll have a lid on it, and then you'll have the seat cushions on top. And so it'll be storage for that. There'll be a small storage area over here, just kind of like a random area. And that's going to be how you're going to be access the valve for the drain. I typically put the valve for the drain under the van, but I actually have room under here to do that with this one. So let's hop on over to this, get this back into frame. All right, so what you're looking at, if we rotate this, you can see we got the wheel well there. So this is the top of the tank. And this, I typically use this for a vent port. However, we have the same fittings on the back side of the tank. So this front side is going to be towards the front of the van, and that is going to only have the pickup for the water pump. So we have our PEX A fitting. That's going to be a pickup for the water pump. It's going to go into here. And then over here we have a plug. And you get two of these plastic plugs. They come with the water tank. And so this is going to go in here. So now I'm back to where I was before I started the stream. So I wanted to show you how I assemble this. And I've done this in a bunch of live streams, so if you want to go into some past live streams and look at them to see what I've done, water tank install wise, that's always a good thing to do. So I wrap this about 3 or 4 times. And depending on your water tank, it's just going to depend on, you're going to have to get a feel for these fittings right here. And what I mean by that is it's the tightness of them. Because it's a pain in the butt if you put this tank in and you kind of have it practice on these leaks, because if you put the tank in and something's dripping, for example, it's difficult to get to this after the fact when it's in the van, to undo this and then reset it. So try to do, this is why I'm doing all these fittings on the outside of the van, and then I'll put the tank in. So I'm using this stuff, it's called Mega Tape. And then the next thing that I'm using is something called Rector Seal Slow Dry Soft Set number 5. It's a pipe thread sealant, and it's NSF rated, so it's food safe. And this is just a little extra protection. It's good to like kind of shake this thing up. Sometimes it's not perfectly mixed. Anyway, but this is just a backup plan. So what this does is it goes on as a liquid and it dries almost to like a putty. And you just need just a hair of this stuff. I mean, just not a lot. And it's kind of weird to work with when you first work with it. And so I've never seen anybody use this. This is just my own personal research of finding things that finding things that allow me to feel confident that my customers are not going to have any issues later with their van. Okay. So see, we put this in and then get this started by hand. And then so we got this right here. You guys can see it in the bottom of the screen. There you go. And then let me bring the lights in a little bit closer. Okay, so we're just going to take it. Now remember, this is plastic. We're in a better situation here. This is plastic on plastic, but we don't want to crank it down here. We just want to use this kind of to get this going. Just like that. Yeah, just want to go by feel on this. There you go. We don't want to crank it down on this part of the ratchet. So now we can just kind of go here and just with your fingers, just try to barely tighten it. And again, with these tanks, it's kind of like, I don't want to call it like an art form, but you just got to be really careful. You don't have to be so careful with plastic on plastic. When we get over here to this one, where we have the this PEX A fitting on the metal to plastic, you can get plastic fittings. You see, we have these PEX A. You can get them. And I also did a whole entire video about, you know, what is better to use. Is it better to use metal or plastic for freezing purposes? And really, there was no conclusive evidence that one is better than the other. I just think these are, I don't know, my gut just tells me these are stronger, even though the research shows that these are just as strong. They're all made to pretty much the same standards. So whether you use plastic or metal, it doesn't matter. Whether you use plastic, metal, and freezing, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you don't drain your tank properly to winterize it, you know, metal or plastic are not really going to save you at the end of the day. You need to really make sure that you drain it properly. Okay, like I said, 3 or 4 times on this. And then don't let any of this get into the valve, because even though you have a pump strainer, you just don't want like a hair of this getting through and kind of sneaking its way into the pump. Although it should never make it there if you do have a pump strainer. And also, you don't want this, you want this stuff on the edge, but you don't want it to get into like where it's going to be sucked into the intake, or where the pickup is for the water pump. And so I have that, and then I just do a little ring of that. And then that's going to go right into here. Before you actually twist these in, make sure, so let me bring that across. So don't do what I'm doing. I took it back out, which you probably shouldn't do. So let me cut that piece off. Okay. So what I was trying to say before I took this out is you need to go through and fill the threads first, and then you can go in and put this back in. Because these threads, the part that's melted into the plastic is usually crooked. So for example, this one, okay, there we go. All right, let me get a wrench. We'll tighten that one in. All right, so that one's all set. So next, we're going to go to the back side. I'm going to put that in the van to do that one. And I have found with these, the depth on this, on these tanks, it's going to be always just right at this edge, almost as if this is going into the tank. So that's why this one is just right there on the very outside. And we're just going to lightly Nah, so that's good. So again, we don't want to overdo it. So if you guys are watching, if you have any questions on this, just put those in the chat. So the next one, we're going to have an angled piece, and this angled piece is going to be for our vent line at the back of the tank. So for the vent line, we're going to use this hose. So we're going to use this clear hose. And the reason we're using this clear hose is we have this screened. This is actually for a boat, like a live well breather vent for a boat. What's nice is it's chromed. It's got a nice seal, and what I do is I drill a hole through the body of the van, or the floor of the van, and this goes underneath the van, and this vent tube will connect to this hose like this. And so this will be at the bottom of the van like that. And so when you fill the tank up, when this starts leaking out from under the bottom of the van, it's designed to do that, then you know that your tank is full. Also, this is there so that this tank can breathe. So when water is displaced by the air that comes in, so when you pump the water out, it creates like a vacuum. And this right here is where it sucks up air to relieve that vacuum so you can keep pumping. Down here at the bottom left, this is for the this is the drain valve. And what I tell my customers is this is a 1/2-inch drain valve, so it does slowly drain the tank if you have this completely full. So what I tell them to do is open up the drain valve, the 1/2-inch, then get your spray wand, turn your water pump on, and then discharge the rest with the pump. And that'll get the tank empty fairly quickly. All right, so this one over here, this one's a little tricky too. I put a little extra tape on this one because what I want to do is I don't want to bury this fitting too much, because the thickness of this tube and the thickness of this hose clamp has to be taken in consideration. So what I'll do is I'll just get this almost all the way in, and then I'll double check that I can still put the hose back up on there. you can see I have this. I'm just put a little ring of, so I got about 4 wraps, 4 or 5 wraps. I'm gonna keep my threads exposed just a little bit so I can make sure this is started. And especially with the metal ones, you just don't want to force it. Okay, so right there. Let's see if I can possibly, I might be able to get one more turn. If I get one more turn in and it's too tight, I might have to redo it. Yep, okay, that's perfect. Now what I'm doing, just wiping this soft set around there, that's just me. I mean, kind of like OCD about what it looks like. It doesn't really make it. If you don't seal it on the inside with the tape, then whatever you do on the outside is not going to matter. All right, let's see. So now I just want to make sure that I can still fit this in here. Okay, there you go. So see, I can still fit it. So when I get to that point, it'll still work. All right, then we have one more down here. And this one, so we're going to do a straight fitting on this one. If we did an elbow on this one, it's going to be too close. So this one down here at the bottom, we have this drain valve, and so for this drain valve, I need it to be offset. So we're going to come out straight, and then we'll have a piece of tube, and then we'll turn it. We'll have the tube come down, and that offset will allow us to open and close this. Of course, let's see, maybe I changed my mind. So when we were back here the other day, here, let me change the camera. This way you can see what I'm talking about over here. Yep, hold on. Okay, so this piece is going to go down here. And so this has already been, so this is what I'm saying about measuring. This center line is going straight up to this vent. So that clear hose is going to come straight down there. Now I've got a pilot hole drilled, but at the same time I haven't committed to my final drain for this vent. And so what I'm doing is, in just a second you'll see why. All right, gonna do some thinking right now, so give me just a minute. All right, guys, so I'm gonna be doing a bunch of thinking right now, so it's not gonna be too much narrating, because I need to finalize a couple of ideas that I've been thinking about for this. Okay, for this one, I'm gonna change back. I'm gonna put the valve under the van. Because typically this area on other vans that I do, this is not a storage area. But for this van, I'm trying to maximize every nook and cranny to make storage. And I don't want Jim and Linda putting storage in here and then it accidentally shift and move the valve open. Now you can change the valve. You could put like a needle valve or whatever, but it doesn't drain. The ball valve is what drains the fastest. So yeah, so this will be the plan. So we'll come out. We'll do this after we put the insulation stuff in, but we'll come out here, come over, and then this will actually come over and come down, and it'll go through the bottom of the van. And then there's a kit that I use. It's a O-ring kit, or grommet kit. And so what you do is you find the appropriate grommet, and then you take this one, for example, and then this one, you're going to drill through the sheet metal of the van. You'll put a little bit of RTV for sealant or silicone, and then you put the PEX through, and this way it doesn't vibrate and cut the line. This will make sure that it doesn't get cut. Anyway, we got time to do that. We're just test fitting this. But we're going to be going with a straight one regardless. So let's go ahead and install it. Hey, Jim. Yeah, so quick answer to that. The sloshing, you're not gonna, it's, think of the pressure. The valve right here for the vent, the orifice is too small, so that if it does slosh, the pressure is not gonna allow it to really come out. I mean, it might be a couple drips, if anything. So it's kind of like the physics of water. If we had this as your vent and this was going down to the van, yeah, the slosh would come and go through. But we have a fitting that's, the opening is this big, so it's really tiny. So it's, for example, even if you fill this tank up, this pressure, it still has built up pressure to even start to come out of this. So you're not gonna, it wouldn't be hardly any significant amount of water loss. That's a good question, though. If you guys are wondering, Jim that just put a question in the chat, this is his van. So something pretty cool about the live stream. It's got a live Q&A, get to ask questions about your van, learn about it. But yeah, you're not going to lose any significant amount of water, that's for sure. And again, when you're installing these, don't use your hand at the top of this. Don't crank it on the side that's got all the leverage, because it's yeah, you don't want to mess up. Now, the fun part about being a van builder is I will go and pressure test this, and there are places where I've had to go back and fix like a little mini drip. So it just kind of comes with the territory. So you can do it as perfect as you want, but until you test it, that's really where you just got to test it. That's all. Yeah, so I'm just going really easy on this one. Okay. All right, looks good. And again, me just wiping this off. It's just my OCD. This is not made to seal, because it's a soft set material, so it kind of never really hardens. It's always kind of like a tacky. So, for example, if you need to take this fitting out and redo it, for example, you can definitely do that. Okay, so we are good with that. Okay, excellent. What we're doing here, this is the base of, let me zoom the camera out. This is the base of the dinette. All right, I guess I could give you guys a sneak peek of the Roam Rest. It's exciting. It's the quality is out of control. I've done this on one other van, but this van's a little more special because this is the first time it's my design and it's my, I guess, custom pattern. I mean, not pattern, but yeah, it's something I designed in-house, and it's real. So check it out. Here is cushion. Look at that. Here's the custom notch coming up. So check that out. Watch this. All right, you guys are seeing this for the first time. So if it fits, we did a good job. If not, well, we don't have that option. So let's see how perfect this came. Look at that. Perfection. Like perfection. Yeah, so this is the company, Rome Rest. So I met one of these guys, I met him about 3 years ago at a van show in Tennessee, Overland Expo East. If you guys got to go to that, they don't do that event anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, man, this material matches the heather gray perfectly. Now, this right here, see this edge? This is on purpose, okay? This coming over here. Because the door, you still get this dip in the door right here. So I really wanted to bring this out as far as possible. So Jim, if you're watching, let's see if we got our number. Boom. 72 inches, right there on the money. We got 72, should be 22.5, yep. Let's go ahead and put the backrest in, just for curiosity. Okay, so here's our backrest. And I mean, I haven't put any snaps or nothing on it yet. But I like that. That looks nice. Oh yeah, seating height is good. So what this will do is this will come out like this. This will come out here. And this will fall back into place, and then this will be like that. So this will be the bed. Now this can be here or this can be in the middle. So this can actually, you can keep this cushion, you can keep it here, and then you can just take this out and put this in the middle, which that's probably what you're gonna do. You're probably gonna do something like that. Yeah, so that's exciting. This looks so good. Yeah, this bottom is going to stay in place. This top one, I think what we're going to do is just do thinking snaps or Velcro. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure on the top of this yet. So. Okay, that was our sneak peek at the mattress. So next, we just got to take all these little Lego pieces I've made and get this dialed in. I've got all these pieces that I've pre-cut. Now this may fall, but that's just the way it is. Okay. finalizing these dimensions. So we use pocket hole and Craig screws to assemble this. If I can get that lagoon table. All right, where did I put the lagoon table? I have to modify both of them because I need to take off a 1/2 inch. There it is. All right, so what we got here, this, we're gonna have this slip-in storage for these lagoon tables. So they come in, they're gonna drop in just like this. And we've got two locations for this. We've got one at the front, which we're gonna mark really quick. So I have one there. We'll have a divider. And this is that 1/2 inch that I got to take off. So we'll have one there, and we've got a divider. Then the second one, store right down in here. That's perfect. That's awesome. Excellent. So we have one storage here for this one. We'll have another storage over here for this one. And then this back section, this is going to be closed off back here. But what we'll have is we'll actually have a, this will be a 1/2-inch piece of plywood that is removable. We'll just have the hinge right here for these Lagoon table mounts. So we got a 72-inch piano hinge, and so you'll be able to access the water pump and the strainer. The hinge will come up around here, and then you can use this back storage area. All right, so let's go ahead and put these little Lego pieces together and move forward with this. So if you're building your own van, one thing you want to do is you want to have a couple of pieces of wood that are your, like this piece. This is a standard offset size. So what this is going to do is make sure that this piece stays where it's supposed to be. Almost like a reference piece, if that makes sense. So back here where you can't see, I have my, let's see, how much can we get the camera in here? All right, let's zoom into this pump real quick. Okay, for the pump on your van, it's just a 12-volt water pump. It's a C-Flow. It's one I really like. You don't have to use an accumulator with this one. It has a variable flow, so it can ramp up slowly and then decrease, so you don't have those like surges. But you're going to look on here with these arrows, and the arrows are indicating where the pickup and the discharge is. So on the pickup side is where we're going to put our strainer to protect the pump. And so we want it on this side of where we open this for the hinge so that we can, and again, we're just temporarily screwing all this stuff on. So this is going to go like that. And then we're going to have a piece that we can actually screw onto here. Then we want to come, I'm just bringing it in and out back here just to check our clearances. Also, the fitting I'm using here, so we're going to have the PEX pipe come up, but we want this fitting right here to be able to be unscrewed and connected to the PEX, so that if we have to ever replace this pump in the future, we can just take it out, put the new one in, and then this can just be tightened up here just like that. So we're probably going to do the pump in this orientation. And then we'll have a secondary screw-on PEX line. And so this will be our main cold water out. So this will go up, and then we'll have another we'll have another 90. So the pump's going to come like this. We'll have another 90, and that's going to be going into our kitchen galley. So this one will actually be mounted up here on the wall. All right, so that's good. It all fits. This is our additional cable back here for some outlets and stuff like that. And then we have our room back here for our drain line from the sink. So next what we're doing is we just need to we need to cut 2 of these pieces. Okay, so we got 22. We're going to do 1.5 inches. We got 20.5. So 1, 2. One, two, three. Zoom the camera out. Okay, so we're gonna do 4 pieces at 20.5, and what that's gonna do for us is it's gonna locate the rest of this build for us. Actually, I think we can do three at 20.5. we might write down our final measurements. So we needed to bring up, because of the 500-pound drawer slides on the driver's side, we needed to bring the passenger side up 1/4 of an inch. So the height, the final height, 16 1/4 by the tank. So the offset is 20 1/2 inches. Our front, back this up. This way when you guys come back later this afternoon for the stream, this will all make sense. So we have this front rail that's 72 inches. It's touching the kitchen galley. The kitchen galley was set where this 72 would come out right here at the back of the door. So this is our furthest we could push this whole entire thing back. That's why the cushion overhangs just a little bit, because once we put the 1/2 inch facing panel back here at the back to close this in, it'll all be flush. So these are 272. This tank is 16 inches. But there's a little bit of variance in the tank. The tank is not a perfect square. So it might be up a little bit on the front, down a little bit in the back. So what it's averaged at to be safe is 16 1/4 inches high. So the 80-20 that's bolting the kitchen galley in, that's at 16 1/4. So we just need to add 1/4 inch of these supports here at the front. So that'll get the height perfect. And then we'll do 4 pieces going horizontally here that are now 20 1/2 inches. And that will, let's see here, 20. So we need to, the final face is 22.5, so it needs to be 22 inches, but we still need to be able to fit the Lagoon table mount in here. So let me pop this in, just slide it in. Okay, so here's our Lagoon table. So we got 22 inches, and we still have looks like 3/4 inches of wiggle room. That's perfect. That'll give us enough to. That's great. That's perfect. So, yeah, 20 1/2. It's 22.5 right there. So that final came to 22 1/8. So if you're wondering why I'm questioning all the measurements, what happens is when we add the upholstery fabric to the rear wall panel, and then when we bolt the rear wall panel in, and then we add our riv nuts and all that stuff, you can calculate that as close as you possibly can. That's why we're in the ballpark here. But all these, so the layer back from here, everything bumping up against each other, when you were touching the metal and you had 22 1/2 inches, you were in perfect world. But now that 1/4 inch offset, thickness of the fabric, riv nut, screws, tank. So what's funny about this is the part that is making everything challenging is the Lagoon table. Because this is where I want to store it. So if we didn't have Lagoon tables in here, we could just, we could have this exactly where we want. But I want to make sure that when I put the Lagoon table mount in, this all fits. So I need to push this in because I can't change where this kitchen galley is now. The offset of the kitchen galley is what's changing these measurements. because of where its final location to be bolted in is. Okay, so now that I got that 1/2 inch push back, that brings us, now we're 21 3/4 off the wall. So 21 3/4. Okay, so the bottom is 21 3/4. Let's check the top. Okay, so 21 3/4. All right. So it's good. Let's bring this over here. Right there. Okay. All right. So the whole point of the exercise is, can we get this face even with the face of the kitchen galley so this looks nice and clean and professional? But can we still, after all this offset from the wall, can we still fit the lagoon table that we plan to put in here? Answer is yes. So pump fits, this fits now. So now we can actually bolt the frame together. So we'll do this outer 2x4 frame. Then we'll do the 20. Okay, so this is why I talk to myself. I need to make sure. Okay, so 20. So that's a 1/2 inch. Okay, so to make this, this is all the stuff you gotta think about, guys. So we want a 1/2 inch face for the piece of plywood. To make that flush with the kitchen galley, we gotta back up. And 20, not 20 and a half, 20 and an eighth is our offset now. So it's a good thing that we double checked that. So let's write that down. So not 20 and a half, 20 and an eighth, 20 and 1/8. And that'll maintain our offset. 16 and a quarter high, 20 and an eighth off, 72. And then the fun part is we'll just come back in and we can finish off these supporting blocks. And then it'll all bolt in the side of the van and the floor, and then I'll hold everything together nice and safe. All right, let's check the chat really quick. Looking good. Okay, so I'm going to disassemble this, put it back together, and then we'll come back in on the next live stream, and we'll be going to the next step, which is tighten up all the little pieces. We'll cut our top piece. Yeah, should be good to go there. All right. So before we leave, just wanted to show you guys a couple of things here on the computer. I went and updated the website, Odyssey Custom Vans. So So first off, if you're not subscribed to Van Builder HQ, go ahead and click the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Also, I now have a DIY camper van conversion course that you guys can buy. It's only 50 bucks. It's called the Camper Van Conversion Blueprint. And what's nice about it is when you access this course, when you purchase it, you'll actually get a 30-minute phone call with me to ask any question that you may have about your own DIY custom van build. And so I'm going to put both of these links in the description. So we got a link to the course, and then this is the link this is a link not only for the van build course when you purchase it to have a phone call, but if you wanted to have a personal van build done by me, this is how you would inquire. Last but not least, if we go to Odyssey Custom Vans, I updated the Get a Quote feature. So if you come down here and you click Get a Quote, I've got a new form. And so you can go through this whole entire form, get all your info as far as what you're looking to do is for your custom build, and you can submit the inquiry that way. It's nice, it's sleek. And at the very end, it'll actually ask you to click on the calendar and schedule a consultation. All right, we'll be back in a couple hours, have this thing bolted up together, and then we're going to get closer to having that first look of the rear dinette finished. Get a little sneak peek of the cushions. That's pretty much it. Get subscribed. If you guys have any questions, put those in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. We will be doing a Q&A from the YouTube comments and questions shortly, so that'll be in the future. But for now, we're going to get off the live stream. I'm going to assemble this, and then I will come back later today, and we'll show you what it looks like. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next live stream.